What's up, everyone? Welcome into Hey Babe, Can We Talk with me, your host and bestie, Drea Renee. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is the place where the hot mess expresses the black sheeps of love. And for those who just can't seem to get it right when it comes to matters of the heart, I am you, you are me, we are one. And listen, if nobody else gets you, I do. I am a relationship survivor and I've done everything wrong, so let me help you do it right. And if you are returning, I missed you and we're gonna have a great episode. And before we get into our episode, you guys, make sure you hit that like, follow, subscribe, and share this with someone who you think may relate. And also leave a comment down below because I love to hear from you guys. On today's episode, we have the amazing Lauren and Johnny, and we're going to talk to them about how they make it work. Because that's what we want to know here, you guys. How do people in healthy relationships make it work? So welcome, Lauren and Johnny. Welcome, you guys. Thank you for being here.
We're happy to be here.
I'm so excited you guys are doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We're so happy to be here.
Yeah. So you guys, we're just going to jump on into it. And you guys let us know who you are and how long you guys have been together.
I'm Lauren, or a lot of people call me Lolo.
Low to the Lolo.
And we've been together for a year and a half. We've been best friends for about 5 years, though.
And how was the journey getting together? I know you guys were friends first. So how did you guys get to this place of being in a relationship? Give us the scoop.
Yeah, it was, I would say the initiative was Lolo's here.
Ooh, I love that.
I'm Johnny also. Hi. We call it, she dropped the bomb, which was, we would always have when we would get into town, we'd be in the same place because we were traveling a lot at the time. We'd be in the same place. We would always have a friend drop in, lunch or dinner. So I didn't think anything of it when we were having dinner. And then in the middle of dinner, she said, I think I'm in love with you. And
I love that, Lolo. Just right to it.
Yeah, I couldn't. We were at the sushi conveyor belt place. He was literally about to grab a sushi. And I was like, I got to tell you something. And he just looks at me like, what? I was like, I think I'm in love with you. I literally said it like that. I felt so silly because this is somebody who has been my best friend for 4 years, telling each other everything, always supported each other through life, heartbreaks, amazing moments in life. Done some traveling together, and we've always just remained such solid friends. So for me to be like, I'm in love with you was really funny.
And what was your reaction when you heard that initially? Were you shocked? Did you kind of already know? What were you thinking?
I definitely didn't already know because when she said, I have something to tell you, I was literally like, what, are you sick? That's what I was thinking in my head is is something wrong? I didn't think those were going to be the next words that came out of her mouth. Our whole relationship kind of flashed before my eyes.
Yeah.
And specifically all these moments where I thought when relationships had ended poorly for her, I would say things like, oh, I would never treat her that way, or I'd always treat her like a queen, or there was even certain moments where people would ask me about Lolo where I'd say things like, yeah, I'd marry her tomorrow. It dawned on me oh, I think I feel the same way. And that was what I ended up saying in that moment was, I think I feel the same way.
And I said, I know.
Little Pisces. I love it. You guys, just so you know, they are both Pisces. So there's a lot of emotions. Does that affect your relationship? And I know some people think I'm a kook with all the astrology talk, but you guys are both Pisces. There's a lot of feelings. You're just swimming around. How does that affect your relationship? Because I'd really like to know.
I think it benefits us a lot because I'm always so aware of my feelings and emotions, and I just communicate to him right off the bat. It happened yesterday, actually. I was like, hey, I'm feeling super emotional and I feel like I just need to cry and be held. And he's like, okay, I can do that. We ended up getting In-N-Out Burger. It was totally fine.
Whatever you got to do, girl. Whatever you got to do, In-N-Out it is.
But I do think for me, it works because I feel so comfortable to just let him know how I'm feeling at all times and let him know what I need. So I feel like it works for me in great ways. What do you think?
Yeah, I think both being a Pisces, we understand each other,
Yeah.
It's very easy to empathize with each other and go okay, I get it, because a lot of times I feel the same way that she does. And so I think it's really, it's just really simple to understand each other.
Yeah.
Being a Pisces. And then also I think that, my understanding is the nature of the Pisces is that you like to talk about feelings. You like to like connect with, you know, how you feel and think about those things deeply. So,
Yeah.
you know, even our first conversation was a deep one.
Oh my God, yeah.
And do you think coming from past relationships, coming into this with the foundation of being friends, that that's helped you as far as being open with each other? And do you feel like you had that in the past with other people? Do you know what I'm saying? Because you're both like, you're friends, you know all these things about each other. And so I imagine that would help you have more open communication versus a relationship in the past. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely helped with us because we had already so much unconditional love for each other just as friends. And then so transitioning into being in a relationship, it was already so easy. There's already so much trust there because we've already known the dirt on each other. Like we've already known our deepest, darkest secrets. We've already been super vulnerable with each other. He's seen me super wild. He's seen me super emotional, super like in my power. He's seen all versions of me, I feel like, since we met. So that makes it really easy to just communicate anything we need to communicate with.
Yeah. I think there's a level of trust, and you don't have to build a rapport because you're already really deeply connected. And we have a level of honesty and trust that's already there, that's already embedded in our relationship. Also, we already know all the like dirty details about each other. There's no skeletons in the closet because we would talk about our skeletons with each other.
Right.
As like really close friends. So there was already like no judgment. You know, we already know what's in each other's past. We know what we're getting. And so it was just a transition where I felt like we jumped right into, you're already together for a couple years and you already know each other. So we're not trying to build that rapport, or that trust. We already have it there. And it's like, okay, we already trust each other, so let's just build a relationship.
Right.
You get to do the fun part.
And how did that affect the intimacy part, right? Because you did already know each other. You already have a rapport. You know who each other are, like, deeply. So did that force things to go faster, or did you go slower in terms of like, hey, we getting it on, or we're going to take a little minute?
Well, we were forced to wait because in the first 8 months of our relationship, it was long distance. So we were falling in love.
Yo, we're long distance for 8 months?
Yeah.
Well,
we would visit each other and we'd see each other in different countries.
Yeah.
So
yeah, by long distance, we were both traveling a lot. So I think we were like, we were moving and meeting up with each other in different places. And then also at the beginning, we were like laughing at the beginning. We literally laughed through our first kiss.
Yeah, I could.
Were you guys nervous? I imagine you know each other, right?
Totally nervous.
Yes.
We had a really awkward coloring date.
Stupid. I was like, hey, do you want to come over and color? Like, I don't ever color.
I love you.
Which I think is the first time anybody has ever asked me those words. That isn't like my 8-year-old niece.
Since kindergarten. Do you want to go color, honey?
Yeah. Do you want to come? I was like, sure. Yeah. It's not going to be awkward.
Actually, that's a pretty good date idea, actually. I think
because it's like colorful and you're both like
you get to be creative.
Coloring book, yeah.
And it was just coloring, and then a really like,
and then it was
laughing kiss at the end.
Yeah, he was about to leave. I was like, oh, so this is where we're supposed to kiss, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
She made sure to make it extra awkward.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm just getting the elephant out of the room, you know.
But yeah, then then we left like the next week. We both left and went our separate ways, and for a month we were apart, and we actually like really
longer
felt
than that.
It's like a month and a half, maybe.
Like month and a half.
I love being a girl, but like it was a little bit longer. Okay, all right.
And we
really
fell in love over that next month and a half. Mm-hmm. Really. And even intimacy wise, we started being intimate with each other like from a distance.
Oh.
Yeah, that's when I was like, oh, it's going to be good.
It's going to be on. What advice would you give to couples that are long distance that are trying to kind of keep that spark going? Like, what did you guys do? I mean, you don't have to get all the details, but, how did you guys keep it, spicy through the FaceTimes?
Well, we naturally got into this consistent routine of leaving each other voice notes. Yes. So I literally we had a time difference too. So I would wake up to a voice note from him every morning. Just whatever he would express himself.
And was it consistent?
Oh, yes.
See?
And then I would send him one too. And those meant the world to me because I literally would wake up to that every single morning. And a lot of it was just so natural. And it was very poetic, just straight from the heart. And we would FaceTime. We would send each other videos, whatever we were doing. So we felt included. And we were always in like such beautiful places in different countries. And then pictures really helped. And then I would say sometimes we would have more intentional FaceTime dates where sometimes we'd have like food together.
Not the food dates on the FaceTime. I'm here for it. I am here for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like we were in the same place, but also with a boundary. Because I think that like we were forced into it, but I think that healthy, taking that span of time before you like jump into the intimacy.
Right.
We really got to connect to it in a deeper level, and yeah, it was just really nice to not have the intimacy part kind of like spinning around and getting caught up in that whirlwind, and just focusing on each other and how we really feel about each other. And like, yeah, I just thought that was really nice.
Yeah. And don't you guys think that time of waiting and getting to know each other made it so much more beautiful and so much more intense, right?
Yes, because we never waited in the past.
This is what I'm saying. And I feel like people today treat sex, and no shade to anyone, but they treat it like a handshake. You just something you do and you move on. But when you really take that time to really get to know someone, really get to know who they are, and obviously you guys already knew each other, I think it takes the connection to a whole other level. You
know, depends on the connection, obviously, that you want. But if you're looking for like a long-term partner, at the end of the day, you're spending, it's not all of that like those fiery times. That isn't the majority of your day and how you're spending it. Right. It's all of the things in between. And you got to think about like, do I really love being around this person? Like, how does our energy feel around each other? How do we, do we enjoy just being with each other and waking up with each other every day and being around each other all the time? I think that like you get to see it more quickly by waiting. And then because we waited, we met up in Isla Mujeres in Mexico, and it was like a honeymoon.
Total honeymoon. Highly recommend going there with your partner.
Ooh, okay.
Highly recommend.
Note to self,
very romantic.
Partner, if you're out there, we're gonna go. He's out there. Yeah, he's listening. That's beautiful. So I want to talk to you guys about your first moment of discord, because I want to focus on communication. And I think when you do have that first moment of discord, when you're all happy and it's amazing, but then you're like, ooh, something's coming up for me, and what that moment was like for you guys. Do you remember? Or just any moment of discord that you have and like how you guys handle that? Because I think that's really important for viewers to hear when you're our first couple on here. So,
So before we even got together, we had a moment of, because we were both, when the bomb was dropped,
the love bomb
was dropped.
I love a good love bomb.
Yeah. Me too, apparently.
Oh,
she loves a good love bomb.
Right to it. I love you.
When the bomb was dropped, we were both dating multiple other people, and it was like, so we had to kind of like close some loops and some things that were going on. We talked about like kind of closing things out, leaky energy, just when we really want to focus on each other. And I think we had a conversation on a couch where I basically sat her down and said, we sat each other down. It was a very intentional conversation, and
love that. And
said, hey, if we give all of our energy to this, like it could be something extraordinary. If we don't, it might mess up our friendship. If we're just kind of like wishy-washy about this, it's not going to be, it's not really going to go anywhere. I was saying, I really see this as like having a lot of potential. And I at that time, I was even prepared to, that maybe it wouldn't work out in that moment. I just needed to speak really openly and honestly. I took myself out of the equation of like, hey, trying to be with her, and just said, hey, what would I tell her as a friend, as somebody who like loves her in this moment? Like, this is what it is. Because I knew what she wanted in the end. And I said, if this is what you want, if this is what you want, I think this is the path, and this is the path that we need to take, and we need to do it really intentionally and just focus on each other. But I mean, I think that set a precedent for our whole relationship, because that's what we do now. When something comes up, we talk about it right away, and it's like, here's how I'm feeling now. Let's talk about it. Let's address it.
When he said
so hot and attractive.
When he said that to me, I was like,
girl.
It was like masculine energy, just like.
Because I was about to say,
I was shook. I was like, oh, I'm not going to be the one that breaks Johnny's heart. Like, I'm not going to mess this up. So I need to get my shit together.
Okay.
Because I was so scared after I dropped the bomb. I was like, I'm not sure about this.
You lit it on fire. And you're like, I got to go.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't know. We're good where we're at. I love our friendship.
1 foot in, 1 foot out.
I don't want to mess up our friendship. Like, what if our friendship gets messed up and then it's like the end of that, and that would be so horrible.
Right.
So I was just so afraid. But when he sat me down, he was just like so in his masculine, and it just literally, exactly. I was like, okay, wishy-washy is not hot. It is not. It's
hot,
like, make a decision,
Lauren.
commit, like, or not. Make a decision and go for it, That's because it's true. We were going to mess up our friendship if we were like, not sure about this, know?
Why do we love to live in a little nice, unsure moment? But like when a man comes and he says, hey, girl, we not playing around. I'm a whole man and we're about to make this a real relationship. I know for me, I've frozen up at times. I'm like, you talking to me? Oh, okay. Can you come back? Give me 1 second. I'm gonna come right back. But so amazing.
I know. It's like, this is,
I checked out.
Yeah.
I'm glitching.
This is the moment you've been waiting for. This is what you want. And then it's right in front of you. But then the little girl in me is like, oh my God, but what if it doesn't work? I'm so scared. Like, I'm so scared to try because what if I fail? That's what it always was for me, right? And so in the moment that was popping up, and then on the other side of it, it's like, what if it doesn't fail? What if you rise? What if he's the love of your life? What if this does work out? And so, that was like a huge shift. And like, because we had that sit down, it really like I'm the one who dropped the bomb. Like, I gave him the message, like, I'm in love with you. And then he needed to have that really serious conversation with me to be like, okay, let's reel it back. Oh, let's reel it back in. And this is, it's almost like he had to come up with a game plan for me because I didn't know what I was doing after I dropped the bomb.
Yeah, I mean, I was afraid too. I had all the feeling. Actually, it brought up. There's been so many things about our relationship that have brought up these like schoolyard feelings, like from just being like, the first times I was in love or the first times I was in relationships, the insecurities that we have when we're like, falling in love during like puberty,
right,
during those times. And for me, it was, and honestly, it was the first time that I've taken this route. Like usually I would just play it cool and just say, hey, it's all good. Just whatever happens. If it works out, it works out.
Let's just go with the flow.
Instead of being like, hey, actually, like, I really need to like speak my truth here. I really need to like set a boundary and set a precedent for like how we're gonna operate in our relationship. And it's honestly something I haven't done in my past relationships. And I thought about it because I was scared too. It's another moment where like I understood how she was feeling, because I was like, I feel like a scared little boy as well. Scared, awkward little boy.
Right. But
who like feels like he can't like be with the pretty girl and like that, all those little insecurities back to middle school. And in that moment, I was just thinking, well, what's the best for both of us in this moment? Like,
this is like a great transition to go into the masculine and feminine energy, because that's literally what you did, especially coming from a place where you hadn't done that before. And then you felt something within this connection to really feel called into your masculine. And then you went essentially into your feminine, and you were like, oh, okay, and I think that's such a beautiful thing. And I was going to ask how that dynamic plays out in your relationship, because that is a super hot topic right now, the masculine and the feminine. And for me, like, I was not aware of that. I just run around in my alpha. I do what I want to do. You ain't telling me nothing. I'm gonna keep saying what I want to say. And now I'm kind of like, I need to be quiet a little bit. I need to be quiet just a little bit. Okay, I get it. I don't need to say every single thought in my head. This man is like, Drea, please. I cannot. Shout out to my ex. Anyway, so I want to talk about like how that shows up in your relationship. And then also do you feel called you to go to this really masculine place and say, hey, I'm going to lead this relationship?
I've worked a little bit in those dynamics. I think in the past, her and I were both had dabbled in polyamory.
Yes, I want to talk about that too.
And I think that polyamory, like for me, it was like polyamory, like open relationships, tantra, like all of that was all part of kind of the same thing, the same relationship that I was in, where we were exploring those spaces. And yeah, as far as like the masculine and feminine dynamics, I like read about it and learned about it. I took the tantra course and read about it. And I was living in Tulum for a while, and there were like, you could go to workshops, tantric workshops and things like that. And I think, yeah, I mean, I just understood in those moments that, because I think it's deep in us as a man. I think it's deep inside of me when something like that happens. It's almost like you're being called forth. There's like these little moments where you're being called up to show up.
Yeah.
And I think, for me, the playing it cool that I would have done before is more of like the people pleasing kind of codependent. For me, it had to do with my upbringing. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And so I had that mindset growing up, and I was always polite and always like a little bit on eggshells. And so stepping out of that and into, hey, I need to speak up. And with polyamory, you have to communicate.
You have to communicate in polyamory.
And I was in a situation where like I wasn't communicating well, and it ended really poorly. And her and I were both in it even when we fell in love. And we were really openly communicating on all accounts with everybody that was involved in our lives romantically. And I think so it felt really natural just to be like, hey, here's what I feel. Here's what I see.
Yeah.
And I felt like it would actually really serve her as well, because that's what she was already practicing.
And what about for you, Lauren, when you sort of stepped into your feminine space and he came to you and said, hey, girl, we're going to get it together?
I feel like the feminine is all about receiving and surrendering and being vulnerable. And so being vulnerable is something that I've been definitely working on. It's been like, I've been working on it for years, for sure. But that is where I feel like as women, it's up to us to communicate and be vulnerable to our men so that they can step into their greatness and show up for us in their masculine.
Yes.
Like, we need to communicate to them. Like,
why? Can't they just read our minds?
I know they can't.
No.
Oh, I know.
I'm just kidding.
No, it's definitely like, you got to communicate all the time. Like Ben, I've definitely learned like we can get, us women, we can get what we want when we communicate to our men.
Say it one more time for the people in the back, Lauren.
We can get what we want when we communicate to our men. Don't be afraid to do it.
Yes.
Don't have no ego.
Yeah,
there's no ego.
Over-communication is sexy.
Yeah, it really is. And so for me, in that moment, I knew that, being in my feminine required receiving, basically, like letting this man love me, really letting him into my space, like, because we were just friends, but really letting him in intimately. And like, we were starting to flirt more, getting to know each other more. And there was a part of me that, didn't trust that this was going to work out in the beginning. I was like so afraid that, maybe it wouldn't work out. But I just kept letting go, and we kept checking in. Like, how does this feel? Does this still feel good? Like, yeah, let's keep going. Like, this feels amazing. And I think in our relationship in general, for me, being in my feminine with him means always taking care of myself first, like making sure that self-care is so important. I feel like in relationships, making sure that I can, do the things that I need to do, whether that's my meditation, my breath work, journaling, working out, going to yoga, seeing my girlfriends. I know I'm grumpy if I don't do that stuff.
Right. Like, you have to have that individual time to nourish that relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
Too.
And for me, I feel like I can be in my feminine for him when I'm taking care of myself.
I love this.
And she also just tells me, I think, I know for me personally, I'm very simple. You know,
That's what men always say.
simple.
I don't know why I don't listen to that. Why don't I listen to that?
so true.
Why? Men are simple.
it's simple in a way of you could just say like, here's how to support me. Here are the things you can do to support me. And then we're like, great, we love, because I think we love fixing problems. I mean, that's kind of, initially that's how we approach kind of emotional situations anyway. We always want to like fix it.
I know. And I'm like, can you just listen to me, please?
Right. And fixing it is not always a possibility, but it can be like, hey, I don't need you to fix it. I need you to support
space.
me. Yeah. And here's how to support me. Hold me. I need to cry for a little bit. Hold me. Or, and so it's very simple, like, oh yeah, I can do that. And I'll say those sorts of things. I always think about it in a sense of like internally, still in a very simple way, which is like two different ways. Do you need solutions or support?
Love that. Simple.
And also,
Love that.
for me, it took some getting used to because I thought I was taking up too much space. Am I being too extra? Am I asking for too much? And I would ask him that. He's like, no, I love when you communicate to me. Like, this is totally okay. And actually, it helped us to really continue to get to know each other more and how to love each other even more in all different kind of situations. So over communication is everything. And that sometimes could be that was the inner work that I knew I needed to do. Let go. Like, yes, it's okay to communicate. No, you're not being too much.
Do you feel like you need that validation and reassurance? Because I know there are people like myself that need that. I need a Drea, you're not too much. It's okay.
Yeah.
Do you need that?
I needed to hear that from him. Yes. Words of affirmation is huge for me in relationships. I can think back when I was in an open relationship and even like hearing, my boyfriend at the time say to me, like, I love you. The relationship that we have is not going anywhere. No one is ever going to replace you. What we have is so special. And it clicked inside of me. I'm like, oh, you can have sex with whoever you want.
Right.
Actually, it turns me on when you do. Like, go for it. You know, like, at the time. So, for me, hearing that, and it means a lot to me. It means like, okay, I can go there with this person.
Yeah.
Like I can trust, like, we're solid. Our relationship is good. I can be myself at all times, communicate however I want, and we're going to be good.
Yeah, we call it our love temple, like our love bank. Actually, we always make we're always making deposits in the love bank.
Yes.
We're always going.
Yes.
We're always like just saying sweet things, and every time we're apart, we do the voice notes, and those
We continue the voice notes.
we continue
Whenever we're apart, we still do it.
when we're apart.
Yes.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys-
in the mornings, wake up to them.
I love this so much. I mean, you guys literally, I wanted you on here so badly because I know you guys have such beautiful communication. So I thank you so much for being here. Is there anything that you want to leave our viewers with on advice for being in a healthy, lovely, communicative relationship? Before
wow.
Yeah.
Advice.
Yeah, and you're getting into a relationship. What do I do, guys? How do I make this work?
Fall in love with your best friend. I mean,
Yeah. It works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I would say the love you're looking for might already be right in front of you.
Love that.
And be yourself. Always communicate your truth. And if you feel like you can't communicate your truth, maybe that's not your person. Or maybe it's time that you need to do a little bit of inner work on yourself so you can feel confident enough to communicate your truth at all times with whoever it is.
Oh, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you both. And thank you for just being vulnerable and sharing with us.
You're so welcome.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for lending me your ear. Don't forget, this is the place for the hot mess expresses, the black sheeps of love. You are welcome here. Until next time, make sure you guys leave a comment down below. Click follow, like, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. This is Hey Babe, Can We Talk? Bye.